Hey YouTube, what goes on? And welcome to Disavowed Action Figures, back with another action figure review, this time taking a look at the brand new Marvel Legends Spider-Man retro carded Rhino Deluxe carded release. I picked this up at Big Bad Toy Store. It is a fan channel exclusive, so eventually it will be available on all of your favorite toy websites, comic book shops, Best Buy, GameStop, you name it, but you will not be seeing this thing at Walmart or Target. This thing is huge. If you have the Kingpin Deluxe carded figure, they are the same size cards, so you know this is a big freaking chunky boy. He is a former Build-A-Figure re-released with some new accessories and a new head. Can't wait to get this guy off the card. It's going to pain me a little bit, but we're going to rip him off the card, take a closer look, see how he moves, and more importantly, do my favorite thing, which is compare this guy to all sorts of action figures. Let's get to it. If you've watched my channel before, you know I'm a huge packaging fiend. I love the packaging on action figures. I mostly open things, but before I open up the Rhino, just wanted to compare for you the deluxe sized card next to a standard carded Spider-Man retro figure. This is the original release of the Spider-Man retro. You can see how much larger that card really is. It is immense in order to get that deluxe size Build-A-Figure inside. The card is huge. I'm sure a lot of people ordered one to rock, one to stock in order to display it on their retro wall. Me personally, I'd be terrified this thing would rip right off the wall due to the weight. So let me know in the comments, did you buy two of these, or do you plan to keep it on card on your wall to display with your other carded retro Marvel Legends? Now let's take a closer look at the back of the packaging, and then we're going to rip this guy open and see what he can do. A closer look at the back of the card reveals we do have the cross-sell, which does show all of the other Spider-Man retro carded figures that were released this year. We also do get the Spider-Man logo across the top, a great cartoon animated image of the Rhino in his running pose. Down here we do get the rather reminiscent picture we used to get on the back of these figures, which basically is meant to be a display of what the figure can actually do back in those great days of all those different actions our figures could do. Zooming in on the bio, as you can see, it does say, former Russian mafia muscle, the Rhino possesses immense strength, near impregnable exo armor, and a stubborn grudge against Spider-Man. Here is our Rhino off card, out of packaging, with his three accessories, which include two alternate grabbing hands and then that additional head. So let's take a closer look at the hands, at the additional head, and then we'll see how this guy moves. Here is a look at the alternate head sculpt that it comes with that is not on the figure. Again, I never had the Build-A-Figure, so this is a very easy buy for me. I really wanted this. So to me, this is very much the first time I'm seeing this in hand. Very cool how we do get the rhinoceros eyes on the side of the suit. I like that. I think the horns are very well done. There's a little bit of paint on there, which kind of looks almost like weathering, which is well done. Also, I do like the kind of cracks and the folds going on across the rest of the head. Here, as far as looking at the face, that's a great face sculpt. You have the folds in the cheeks, giving a very serious look. Again, this is the closed-mouthed look, where he is looking very serious, like he's about to get pretty ticked off. Let's take a look at the hands. And these are the alternate hands that do come with. They are both open grabbing hands, which I always appreciate having these because you can have your figure really kind of mix it up with some other figures on your shelf for some action figure photography. The fingernails are very well done. Again, look very weathered, kind of scratched up almost. As far as the back of the hand goes, you get more of that texture again to the suit. And then similar with this one as well, same thing with the fingernail. So these very similar, obviously both grabbing hands, just one left and one right hand. But again, always appreciate extra heads and extra hands when it comes to our figures. Here's an up-close look at the head sculpt that it comes defaulted with. You can see we get the gritted teeth here. Definitely more of an attack-looking face. Again, we do get the Rhino eyes on the side, which I do find very entertaining, actually. I really like the texture overall they put on this guy. Lots of just cracks and divots, different things throughout this figure on the arms and the legs. Obviously, here we do have the closed fists, the punching hands that are on the figure to start. But overall, I really think that they did a nice job with this guy. I get that it's a reuse of an original Build-A-Figure, but it just looks cool to me. And again, I never had the Build-A-Figure, so to me, it's the first time having it, which, you know, I'm enjoying it so far. So let's take a look at how this guy moves. As far as his arms going out, just due to, I guess it's the traps in the back and the shoulders, you're not going to quite get too much going on. That's about as far outward where your T formation is you're going to get with those arms. Watch out for the rub, obviously. As far as rotation on the shoulder, it does go all the way around. We do have an upper bicep cut right there. Single jointed elbow, as you can see, doesn't quite get all the way to 90. We do have rotation here, obviously on the wrist that goes that way. It will also rotate. And basically for the legs, we do have the upper thigh cut, as you can see. We get single jointed knee, which I have to say, I watched an old Glenn Webb review of the first Build-A-Figure that was put out for this, and he did make the comment, and I agree, RIP Glenn Webb. You can see here how that's a really just awkward kind of joint on the knee. As far as the foot goes, we do not get any kind of calf swivel or anything. We do have swivel here on the ankle rocker. Foot will go down about that far. Foot will go up about that far. Leg will kick up actually really far for Build-A-Figure. That's kind of surprising. It will not go very far back at all. And then if you're curious how far out they're going to go, they're going to go out about that far for the splits. As far as the articulation, you get a click there in the torso. He looks down about that far. The head will go down a little bit as well to help with that. He will not go back really at all, as you can see. And the head will look up very slightly, not much, because you figure he'll usually be looking down on the individuals that he is fighting. Also, there is a waist swivel. Again, feels rather loose. This is an older Build-A-Figure. You are going to have that. Here's a look at Rhino with the alternate closed mouth head sculpt. As you can see, about the same articulation, looking down, looking up about the same, not very much. It's also worth noting with the head, it will not rotate all the way around due to the traps in the back. And also, being that this is an older Build-A-Figure buck, you do have the peg attached to the neck, whereas nowadays we're more used to having the hole on the head that you then port onto the peg. So if you're a newer Marvel Legends collector, that might be something you're not used to. I know it threw me off a little bit. Here's Rhino with the alternate grabbing hands on each side. I tend to pose my figures with the open hands, unless I am doing some sort of photo where they are punching, just because the open hand tends to make the figure look a little bit bigger on the shelf and stand out a little bit more, as you do have that extra length coming down to the sides. So again, it's a preference, but I tend to usually keep the open hands, the grabbing hands on my figure when I put them on my shelf. So I'm not sure how this will translate to the actual video, but I wanted to share this. So one of the major reasons I wanted a Rhino in my collection is because of this Fallen Son Death of Captain America Spider-Man issue by Jeff Loeb and David Finch, where Spider-Man, as he is working through the grieving process for the, spoiler alert, dead Captain America back during the Civil War era of the comics, there's a really great image of he's having a flashback and then he's fighting the Rhino. So as you can see, Black Suit Spider-Man does come across Rhino at the cemetery. Calamity ensues, but the artwork in this book was so freaking good. I mean, look at this image of Rhino. This is what I wanted to try to recreate. One of the major reasons I wanted to have this figure in the first place. Essentially, Spider-Man is going through the grieving process of the dead Captain America. He's having a flashback to when he fought the Incredible Hulk, and Captain America basically came and helped him against him while he's actually fighting Rhino in the present. So I would highly suggest checking out this entire series, Fallen Son, but that's the main reason I really wanted this in my collection. Now my favorite part, let's see how Rhino scales and stands with other Marvel Legends as well as other lines. Here is Rhino standing with the original retro-carded Spider-Man and the recently released retro-carded Black Suit Spider-Man on the same buck, and I love the original Spider-Man, but I can't wait to take some pictures and mess around with that black-suited Spider-Man and this Rhino as I relive reading that comic book I showed you in the last clip. Here's how Rhino stands with a more standard 6-inch Marvel Legend figure, this being the Nick Fury from the Giant Man wave on the old Bucky Cap buck. As you can see, Rhino, especially with that horn on the top of his head, just basically looks like a skyscraper compared to a 6-inch standard Marvel Legend. Here's Rhino with a more undersized Marvel Legend, being the Wolverine Tiger Stripe action figure from the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure wave. And you can see he barely even comes up to the chest of Rhino. So he is going to be a chunky figure on your shelf for sure. Here he is standing alongside a fellow Spider-Man villain, this being the monster Venom. Also, this is his brother in arms, as this was another fan channel exclusive re-release of a Build-A-Figure that was originally put out and was given basically that fan channel treatment. These are two great figures to have on the shelf to fight your Spider-Man. Rhino is a little bit taller. Even if you took the horn off, he does have a little bit there of an advantage at the height at the head. Here's Rhino standing with the original Kingpin Build-A-Figure. This is not the retro carded release that was a fan channel exclusive. I did not pick that up as I did not feel I needed both of those Kingpins, as I did spend the extra money to build the Build-A-Figure the first time around. But again, he is slightly larger. However, I will again remind you, from what I heard, the cards are the same size. So if you're looking to put these on your retro wall, the cards from these two fan channel exclusives should pretty much match up and be the same size. Here's Rhino standing with the Fantastic Four Walgreens exclusive Ben Grimm the Thing. He also is larger than him. Thing definitely gets the mass as being a little bit larger. As I mentioned earlier in the review, I do often pose these on my shelf, vanilla posed, but with the open hands, as Ben also came with two fists. It just makes the figure look more menacing and just larger on your shelf. If you're wondering how he stands next to one of the Incredible Hulk bucks, here he is with the Target exclusive Red Hulk. Red Hulk is larger. You can notice I do have the open hand on him as well. I don't think he came with another alternate hand that was opened. I wish they would have. But again, you can see there he is with a figure that's actually larger than him. Here's Rhino with another exclusive, the Walmart Ulick the Troll exclusive that I picked up from Nerdzoic Toys. And again, they're pretty much similar in size here. Ulick does have a bit of a height advantage at the shoulders, but with the horn on Rhino and their heads being about the same height, you can see the hair makes him a little bit taller. But again, two just chunky Build-A-Figure deluxe size guys standing next to each other. Mixing in some lines other than Marvel Legends, here's Rhino standing with the McFarlane Toys Stranger Things Demogorgon figure. This guy is way underrated. I know Stranger Things, the new season's currently streaming on Netflix, at least the first half of the season. But I love this figure. He's awesome looking. Whether you like Stranger Things or not, that's great. Obviously, he does tower above Rhino. Here's how he stands with the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse 7-inch release Lobo figure. Here's Rhino back to back with the NECA TMNT film version of the disguised Raphael. So what happens when a turtle fights a rhino? I don't know, but I don't want to be there to see it. Sticking with the animal motif, here's Rhino with the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Ursa Major Bear, the bear of the year if you ask me. Here's Rhino with one of my favorite figures of the year thus far, the Bobby Vala Valaverse Action Force Bone Collector. And last, here's Rhino standing with our favorite piece of fruit, AEW's Jazzwares Unrivaled Orange Cassidy. And here's Rhino in his classic running pose about to run over Black Suit Spider-Man. I had a lot of fun messing around with this action figure. Again, if you have the original Build-A-Figure, you could probably pass on this guy unless you want the updated paint, head sculpts, and those extra hands. Or if you just want one to put on your wall with your other carded action figures. Overall, again, I really enjoyed this guy. I never had the Build-A-Figure, so this was an easy pickup for me. This was a fan channel exclusive, so don't go to Walmart or Target expecting to see it. Check your favorite toy online retailer, comic book shops, or eventually GameStop, Best Buy, all the stores you find those sorts of fan channel exclusives in. Hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It's free for you, doesn't cost you anything, helps us grow the channel tremendously. While you're at it, hit that bell for notifications. That way YouTube tells you when we post new content here on the channel, like our weekly toy hunts, like our toy reviews, like our live streams. Leave a comment down below, hit that like button, and for daily toy content and daily toy updates, check us out over at Instagram and Twitter at Disavowed_12. If you're going out toy hunting this weekend, remember the 3 Ps of the toy hunt: patience, persistence, most of all, politeness. Take care, stay healthy, and I'll be seeing all of you at the pegs.